On a distant planet covered in pale blue forests and glowing rivers, a lone human engineer named Eli Carter stood near the edge of an alien landing platform. His clothes were torn, his hands dirty with oil and sand. He had been sent here to repair the damaged atmospheric processors that the Galactic Alliance depended on. The local species, the Virelons, were tall, thin, and elegant, their skin smooth like porcelain with faint silver veins that shimmered when light touched them. They were calm and logical people, very unlike the loud, expressive human who worked among them. Eli had been here for 2 weeks, and though he had fixed 3 main reactors, he was still struggling to understand their social rules. They never laughed. They rarely made eye contact. They bowed slightly when speaking and spoke in short, flat tones. Every time he tried to be friendly, they looked at him like he was unpredictable fire, warm but dangerous. The only one who seemed curious about him was Lyra, a young Virelan scientist who assisted him on the repair site. She followed him everywhere, asking about human tools, human customs, and especially his strange habit of smiling all the time. Eli didn't mind. Her questions were endless but innocent, like a child trying to understand a new world. That morning, the sun shone through the glass domes above the repair bay. Eli was kneeling beside a broken power conduit when Lyra crouched near him, her silver eyes reflecting the sparks that flew from his welding torch. She tilted her head, studying him carefully. Humans and Virelans had similar builds, but their body proportions and clothing were quite different. She wore a single, smooth bodysuit that shimmered softly with each movement, while Eli wore his dusty utility uniform with pockets and tools hanging from his belt. When Eli glanced up, he saw her frowning slightly, her gaze fixed somewhere below his waist. He blinked, confused, then asked, Something wrong, Lyra?" Her eyes flicked up to his face. "Human," she said in her calm, melodic tone. "Does the shape between my legs confuse you? Is that why you stare so oddly?" Eli almost dropped his wrench. "What? Wait, no, I wasn't, what?" Lyra's silver veins glowed faintly as she leaned closer. "You were looking there. I thought perhaps it means something important to your kind." Realizing what she meant, Eli turned red. No, I was just... Your suit, it has a kind of glowing seam there. I was trying to figure out if it was part of the energy pattern of the material." Lyra blinked slowly. "Oh, so you observe shapes for scientific purposes," Eli coughed, still embarrassed. "Exactly, science," she nodded seriously. "I understand now. Your curiosity is visual rather than verbal. I approve." He wasn't sure what that meant, but she seemed satisfied, so he went back to work, trying not to laugh. It wasn't the first time cultural differences caused chaos. A few days earlier, he had accidentally insulted an elder by giving him a thumbs-up gesture, which apparently was a rude signal in their language. Another time, Lyra had copied his grin to learn human expressions and ended up terrifying half her team because they thought she was baring teeth like a predator. Despite all this, they grew closer. Eli taught her simple words in English, and she taught him how to read the faint vibration waves their machines emitted. They shared meals in silence. She didn't eat but absorbed nutrients through her skin while he chewed loudly on ration bars, unaware of how strange it looked to her. Yet every time they worked together, she smiled. Not with lips, but with her voice, which grew softer and more musical. That evening, the temperature dropped as twin moons rose over the horizon. The glowing rivers reflected their light like ribbons of silver fire. Eli and Lyra sat on a ledge overlooking the repair field. He had finished patching the last atmospheric vent. The night breeze was cool and smelled faintly of iron and rain. Eli leaned back, feeling proud. "You know," he said, "on Earth we'd call this a good day's work." Lyra tilted her head. "You measure your days by tasks completed?" "Yeah, when something's fixed, when you've done your part, that's a good day." "I see. Then today is a good day," she said carefully, repeating his phrase. Her tone carried a faint warmth that made Eli smile again, but her expression turned thoughtful. "Eli, may I ask something?" "Sure. When you look at me, do you find me strange?" He hesitated. The question was simple but heavy. He looked at her glowing eyes, the faint patterns that ran across her cheeks, the calm poise that made her seem carved from light itself. "Different, yeah," he said softly. "But not strange, just new." She lowered her gaze and the silver lines on her skin pulsed gently. "Most humans who come here avoid eye contact. They fear touching us. They think we are too fragile or too cold." "I don't think that," Eli said. "You saved me twice last week. once from falling debris and once when that plasma vent overheated. "You're tougher than you look." A faint hum escaped her throat, almost like laughter. "Toughness. A word humans use often." He nodded. "Yeah. Where I come from, it means not giving up no matter what happens." Lyra considered this. "Then you are." "Very tough," he chuckled. "Sometimes too stubborn." She didn't reply, but her eyes lingered on him, curious again. "Human. May I observe something strange?" "Go ahead. When you look at me, the light in your eyes changes. It grows warmer." "I have measured it," he laughed softly. "That's called reflection. When the light hits something shiny like your skin, it bounces back." "No," she said, shaking her head slowly. "It is not the same pattern. I think it is emotion." Eli froze. "Emotion?" "Yes, I have been studying humans. When they care, their pupils expand slightly. When they feel calm, their breathing slows. You show both patterns when you see me." He didn't know how to answer that. She wasn't wrong, though. There was something about her voice, her presence, the way she looked at him without fear or judgment. It made him feel seen, truly seen, for the first time since he left Earth. "Maybe you're right," he admitted quietly. "Maybe it's emotion." Lyra turned her gaze toward the twin moons. "In my people's language, there is a word, Vera. It means curiosity that leads to connection. Perhaps this is that." "Vera," he repeated, testing the word. "I like that." For a while they sat in silence, watching the moons climb higher. The wind carried soft vibrations that only Lyra could sense. She turned suddenly, her expression serious. "Eli, there is something coming. I can feel it through the ground," he frowned. "What kind of something?" She stood quickly, her eyes glowing bright silver. "Machines. Large ones. They move beneath the surface." Eli jumped up, grabbing his toolkit. "Drillers?" "No, not ours." Her voice was tense now. "Unauthorized. Metallic signatures, foreign." Within moments, the ground trembled. The peaceful night turned chaotic as heavy vibrations shook the platform. Eli ran toward the central console, typing commands to shut down the reactors. Lyra's voice echoed through the comms, alerting the other scientists. Then from the dark ridge beyond the domes, enormous drilling machines burst through the surface, massive mechanical worms, their metal shells shining red under the moonlight. "Off-world scavengers," Lyra said, her tone steady. "They come for resources." Eli cursed under his breath. "We have to protect the processors. If they hit the vents, the whole region loses breathable air." Lyra looked at him with calm determination. "Then we defend them." He stared at her in surprise. "You?" She nodded. "You once said I am tougher than I look. Let us see if you are right." Before he could protest, she extended her hand and her suit glowed brighter, forming a shimmering shield of energy around her. Eli grabbed a wrench, his only real weapon, and followed her toward the growing noise. As they reached the edge of the platform, one of the machines opened, revealing humanoid figures in dark armor. They moved fast, cutting through cables and extracting glowing mineral cores from the soil. Lyra raised her hands, sending waves of sonic force that knocked them back. Eli ran beside her, throwing spare fuel canisters at their equipment to disrupt the process. The attackers regrouped, firing pulse weapons that shattered parts of the dome. Eli ducked, shielding his face. "Lyra, the east conduit." "I see it," she said, her voice calm despite the chaos. With a swift gesture, she redirected her shield to protect the fragile structure. Eli crawled forward and reconnected a severed power line, sparks flying around him. The system came back online and the processors began releasing pressure waves that forced the intruders to retreat. After several tense minutes, silence returned. The scavengers withdrew, their machines sinking back into the ground. The dome trembled once, then grew still. Eli fell to his knees, exhausted. Lyra approached him slowly, her shield fading. She looked at him, her silver eyes softer than before. "You risked your life for our systems," he smiled weakly. "Can't call it a good day if we don't finish the job." She tilted her head. "Then this was a very good day." Eli laughed quietly, wiping dirt from his face. "Yeah, and I think I finally understand your word, Vera." She nodded. "And I think I finally understand emotion." As the dawn light returned, their reflections glimmered together in the glass dome. Human warmth and alien grace side by side, bound by curiosity, courage, and the strange beauty of understanding. The morning after the attack, Eli woke to the soft hum of repaired machinery. The sun painted the sky in pastel blues and purples, reflecting off the metallic surfaces of the repair bay. He rubbed his eyes and stretched, his body sore but alive. Yesterday had been a whirlwind. Drills, intruders, and narrowly avoiding disaster. And yet amidst all the chaos he felt a strange sense of calm. He knew he wasn't alone. Lyra was already there, standing silently by the main control panel. Her silver eyes caught the early light, and the faint glow along her veins pulsed gently as if matching the rhythm of her thoughts. She turned to him, her expression unreadable yet familiar. "Human," she said in her soft voice. "The system stabilized overnight. You slept well, I hope." Eli chuckled, scratching the back of his head. "I did for about 3 hours. After that, I kept thinking about how close we came to losing everything." Lyra tilted her head. "Danger brings understanding. It clarifies what is important," he nodded slowly. "Yeah, I get that." Her gaze lingered on him, studying the slight slump in his shoulders, the tired lines around his eyes. "Human, I have been thinking about your kind's reactions to us. You seemed unsettled yesterday when I asked a simple question about my body." Eli blinked. He remembered the moment clearly, how her words, though innocent, had made him feel exposed and unsure. "Yeah, that was awkward. I wasn't ready for it." Lyra's eyes shimmered faintly. "I do not understand awkward. It is not logical, but I measured your response. Your facial warmth increased, your pupils dilated, your voice rose slightly. These are all emotional markers, yes?" "Exactly," Eli admitted. "But I wasn't embarrassed in a bad way. I was just confused. Your species is so different I didn't know what was appropriate to say." Lyra hummed, the sound like a soft wind through crystals. "I see, you are curious yet cautious, that is commendable." Eli smiled faintly. "Thanks. I guess I've learned that curiosity can be dangerous here." She nodded, stepping closer. "Curiosity is both dangerous and essential. Without it, one does not learn. Without it, one does not survive." He glanced around at the glowing panels and machines, the recently repaired vents, and the damaged platform that still bore scars of the attack. "You're right," he said. "I've learned a lot in the past week. About your machines. About your people. About myself." Lyra's gaze softened. "About yourself?" Eli shrugged. "Yeah, I've always thought I was cautious, careful. But seeing all this, the intruders, the damage, the risk, I realized I can do more than I thought. I can act even when I'm afraid." She hummed again, almost approvingly. "Then you are?" "Brave," he raised an eyebrow. "Brave?" "Yes, humans often confuse caution with fear. But action in the face of risk, that is bravery." Eli felt a warmth in his chest. No one had ever described him that way. "Thanks, Lyra, that means a lot." She tilted her head, studying him like a curious child observing a new species. "Human, why do you smile so often?" He laughed softly. "It's just a habit. Smiling makes people feel comfortable. It makes me feel better too." She considered this. "So it is both for you and for others." "Exactly," he said. "It's like a small shield against bad things." Lyra's silver veins pulsed gently. "You are fascinating, human Eli Carter. Your methods are strange yet effective, your ways." "Warm," he chuckled. "Warm? I don't know if I'd call myself warm." "You are," she said simply, as if stating an undeniable truth. "Even when you are cautious, even when you are unsure, warmth radiates from you." Eli paused, feeling a strange mixture of pride and embarrassment. "I thank you. That's kind of you to say." For a long moment they stood in silence, the soft hum of the repaired machinery filling the space between them. Outside, the twin moons were setting, leaving the sky a soft gradient of pink and gold. A gentle breeze carried the faint scent of the metallic forests, mixed with the clean energy of the glowing rivers. Lyra stepped back, breaking the quiet. "We should inspect the outer perimeter. There may be residual damage from the scavengers' machines." Eli nodded. "Right, let's see what's left." They moved across the platform, checking each section carefully. Broken cables, scorched panels, and dented support beams told the story of yesterday's attack. Eli worked quickly, using tools and spare parts to stabilize the damage. Lyra moved beside him, analyzing the structural integrity of each piece with a precision that humans could only admire. As they worked, Eli noticed her glance at him more than once. Not with suspicion, but with interest, curiosity in its purest form. He caught himself smiling at her, remembering how she had once asked the strange question about her body. The memory made him laugh quietly to himself, shaking his head. You are smiling again, Lyra observed. Human, does the memory of confusion bring you joy? He nodded. Yeah, it's funny now. What seemed awkward then seems harmless even. Interesting. Her silver veins pulsed brighter. Interesting, that is an acceptable emotion. I will catalog this for future reference. Eli laughed softly. I'll be honored to help you with your catalogs. They continued working, moving from one damaged section to another. By midday, most of the repairs were complete. The platform was functional again, and the atmospheric processors were stable. Eli wiped sweat from his brow and leaned against a support beam, catching his breath. Lyra approached, her gaze lingering on him. Human, I have measured your vital signs. Your body is recovering, yet your heart rate remains elevated. Why? Adrenaline, he said simply. Even after the danger is gone, my body stays ready. It's a habit. You are cautious yet brave. You act even when your body signals caution. Fascinating. Eli smiled faintly. I guess that's the human way. She tilted her head. Then perhaps I'm learning the human way as well. Eli glanced at her, surprised. You learning it? Yes, she said simply. Through observation and proximity. Your warmth. Your curiosity. It teaches me more than any machine or data ever could. He felt a strange warmth in his chest, a mixture of pride, surprise, and something else he couldn't quite name. Lyra, I think I've learned a lot from you too. About your people. About courage. And about seeing the world differently. She regarded him quietly. Then we are mutual students, he laughed softly. Mutual students? I like that. For a moment they stood in silence again, watching the soft glow of the twin moons reflecting off the rivers beyond the platform. The danger of yesterday seemed distant now, replaced by the quiet bond forming between human and Virelin. Suddenly, Lyra straightened, her eyes narrowing. Human sensors indicate another movement. Not like the scavengers, smaller, faster. Eli's pulse quickened. What kind of movement? Unknown. Approaching the perimeter quickly, possibly life forms, he grabbed a spare tool as a precaution. Then let's see what it is. Ready? Lyra nodded, her calm demeanor unwavering. Ready? They moved to the perimeter, peering through the dense, glowing forest. Shadows shifted quickly between the glowing trees, small figures darting in and out of sight. Eli squinted. Small, definitely not machines. Lyra extended her hand slightly, the faint shimmer of her suit illuminating the ground around them. They are curious. I can sense no aggression yet. Eli relaxed slightly. Then maybe they're like you. Observers. The creatures emerged from the trees, small quadrupedal beings with iridescent scales that reflected the moonlight. Their eyes glowed faintly and they moved cautiously, sniffing the air as if sensing the presence of the platform's inhabitants. Lyra stepped forward, kneeling slightly to reduce her height. They are intelligent, she said softly, but inexperienced. They have never encountered humans. Eli nodded. Then we have to be careful. Scaring them could make them defensive. The creatures paused, watching them intently. Eli raised a hand slowly, showing he meant no harm. One of the creatures tilted its head, stepping closer. Lyra observed quietly, fascinated. After a tense moment, the small beings approached cautiously, their movements graceful yet hesitant. Eli smiled. Looks like we made some friends. Lyra's silver veins pulsed brightly. Perhaps, but we must remain vigilant. Even curiosity can be dangerous if misunderstood. Eli chuckled softly. Agreed, but sometimes curiosity is worth the risk. They watched the creatures move through the glowing forest, observing their behavior, learning their patterns. For the first time in days, the repair bay was silent, peaceful, and safe. Eli felt a deep sense of satisfaction, not just from the work completed, but from the connection forming between him, Lyra, and the new life around them. As the twin moons dipped below the horizon, Eli turned to Lyra. You know, today was another good day. She tilted her head, the faint glow along her veins pulsing softly. Indeed, and I understand more of this human emotion called Vera. Eli smiled, feeling the weight of their shared experiences. Danger, curiosity, laughter, warmth, it all came together to form something new. Something neither human nor Virelin had experienced before. Trust. Lyra's voice softened. Human Eli Carter, Tomorrow we continue our work, but tonight let us observe. Observe the forest, the moons, and each other. For the first time in a long while, they both allowed themselves to simply exist. Two different species, sharing the same space bound by curiosity, courage, and the strange, innocent beauty of understanding one another. And as the stars began to twinkle above the glowing rivers and silver forests, Eli felt something he had not felt in years, hope. Hope that even in the vast, unpredictable universe, connections could form. The next day, Eli awoke to the faint hum of the platform systems. The air smelled crisp and metallic, a reminder of the repairs they had done and the chaos they had survived. The twin moons were low in the sky, their soft light spilling across the glowing rivers and alien trees. He stretched, feeling the aches from yesterday's exertion, but a sense of excitement lingered. Today promised more discovery, more understanding, and perhaps more challenges. Lyra was already at the main console, her posture calm and precise as always. She glanced at him as he approached.
Human Eli Carter, today we continue the analysis of the peripheral life forms.
They have displayed adaptive behaviors overnight. Eli raised an eyebrow. Adaptive, huh? Sounds like they learned something while we slept. Yes. Observation, curiosity, and action lead to adaptation, she said, her voice soft yet firm. We must be vigilant. Their reactions could indicate intelligence. Eli nodded. Right. Let's see what we can learn from them. They moved together to the edge of the platform where the small quadrupedal creatures had appeared last night. The creatures were already active, darting between trees, sniffing the air and occasionally pausing to look toward the platform. Eli crouched, extending a hand slowly, demonstrating non-aggression. The creatures tilted their heads, cautious but curious. One of them stepped closer, its scales shimmering under the faint sunlight. Lyra observed intently, her glowing veins pulsing softly as she measured the creature's heartbeats, energy emissions, and movement patterns. They are cautious, she said quietly, but not fearful. Their curiosity is strong. Eli smiled faintly, just like someone I know. He glanced at Lyra, who raised an eyebrow, curious. Never mind. As the morning progressed, Eli and Lyra worked methodically to observe and document the creature's behavior. Eli noted their interaction with the environment, their subtle social cues, and their adaptive patterns. Lyra added technical readings, measuring energy emissions and potential communication signals. During a brief pause, Eli noticed Lyra watching him more than the creatures. Her silver eyes seemed to study his movements as if trying to understand not just what he did, but why. You study them closely, Eli said, smiling, but sometimes it feels like you're studying me more. Lyra tilted her head. Observation includes all variables, human. You are part of the ecosystem here. Your actions influence outcomes. Eli chuckled softly. Guess I can't hide then. No, she said simply. You cannot. Their quiet moment was interrupted by a sudden vibration in the ground. Eli stiffened. Another attack? Lyra extended her hands, her suit shimmering faintly. No, different signature, smaller, faster, possibly airborne. Eli scanned the sky. At first he saw nothing. Then small glimmers appeared, moving with precision between the trees. Metallic wings reflected the sunlight as sleek drones, alien in origin but clearly controlled by intelligent operators, circled the platform. They are scanning us, Lyra said. I can detect no immediate threat, but their intentions are unclear. Eli swallowed. Then we need to be ready. Defensive measures only. No engagement unless necessary. Lyra nodded. Agreed. The drones moved closer, hovering just above the treetops. Eli activated a manual override on the platform's outer shield, creating a faint energy barrier. The drone's sensors flickered, scanning the shield. Lyra's suit glowed brighter as she emitted subtle countersignals, confusing the drone's targeting systems. Eli crouched behind a support beam, analyzing the situation. They're smart. Coordinated. Whoever controls them understands our systems. Lyra's silver veins pulsed faster. This is a test of our defenses. They probe weaknesses. We must remain calm and reactive. Eli nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on him. For the first time, he realized the full scope of his role. Not just a human engineer fixing machines, but a protector of life on an alien planet. The drones hovered near the edge of the platform, scanning every panel, every vent, every support beam. Eli's mind raced. If they found a vulnerability, the atmospheric processors could fail, endangering the entire region. "Lyra, we need a plan," he said quietly. She extended her hands, energy forming faint barriers around the platform's critical points. "We act defensively, force them to reveal intentions, protect what must be protected, observe all responses, learn from every movement." Eli nodded. "All right, let's do this." The drones approached, their metallic wings humming softly. One descended closer, its sensors glowing bright. Eli held his breath, watching as Lyra manipulated her energy field, redirecting the drone's scanning path. It hesitated, recalibrating, then retreated slightly. "See?" Lyra said quietly. "Observation and action create influence. They learn our capabilities." Eli smiled faintly. "Good. Then we teach them patience." Hours passed as Eli and Lyra maintained their defensive stance, careful to avoid escalation while documenting every movement. The drone's behavior gradually shifted. They began to retreat, hovering at a distance and circling the platform instead of probing aggressively. Lyra observed carefully. "They are learning. They recognize our strength and caution. For now, they do not attack." Eli exhaled slowly, feeling the tension drain from his body. "That's a relief." Lyra's gaze softened as she looked at him. "Human, you are calm in the presence of danger. It is admirable." He felt a warm flush. "Thanks, Lyra. That means a lot coming from you." She tilted her head. "I measure actions, not words. But your composure reflects inner strength that is valuable." Eli smiled, feeling a deeper sense of connection. "I think I'm learning more from you every day than I ever thought I could." Lyra's silver veins pulsed gently. "And I from you. Your emotions, your decisions, your courage. They teach me about life beyond my own understanding." For a moment, they simply observed the drones together, sharing a silent acknowledgement of trust and understanding. It was rare, two species different in every way, finding common ground in curiosity, courage, and mutual respect. As the day wore on, the drones slowly retreated, eventually disappearing beyond the forest horizon. Eli and Lyra allowed themselves a brief sigh of relief. The platform remained intact, the atmospheric processors stable, and no lives were lost. Eli stretched, feeling the aches of the long day. "Well, and that was intense," Lyra nodded. "Indeed. But through observation and action, we maintained control. We learned. We adapted." Eli chuckled softly. "Sounds like you're describing humans." Her silver veins pulsed faintly, almost like a smile. "Perhaps humans and Virulons are not so different when curiosity and courage are measured." He smiled at that. "I like that thought." They spent the rest of the evening reviewing data from the drones and the creatures in the forest. Eli documented movements, energy readings, and behaviors. Lyra analyzed patterns, noting intelligence, learning ability, and social structure. Together they worked seamlessly, human intuition and alien precision blending into a cohesive effort. As night fell, the twin moons rose again, casting silver light across the rivers and trees. Eli leaned against a support beam, watching Lyra adjust readings on her console. "You know, I think today was another good day." She glanced at him, her voice soft. "Yes, we defended the platform, learned from the unknown, and preserved life. That qualifies as good." Eli laughed softly. "And we did it together." Lyra tilted her head, her eyes reflecting the moon's light. "Together. A word humans use often. It indicates partnership and trust." He nodded. "Exactly. Partnership and trust." For a long while they stood in silence, letting the quiet of the night wash over them. The forest, the rivers, the glowing moons, all were witnesses to a growing bond between human and Virelon. Two beings from different worlds, learning from each other, protecting each other, and discovering something neither had expected. Connection. Finally, Eli turned to Lyra. "You know, there's something special about this place, and about you." Her silver veins pulsed softly. "Special?" "Human, please clarify." He smiled faintly. "It's the way we understand each other. The way we work together even when nothing else makes sense. The way we trust each other. That's special." She considered this, her gaze lingering on him. "Then I understand this day is special because of connection. Because of mutual learning. Because of trust." Eli nodded, feeling a deep warmth in his chest. "Exactly. And I wouldn't trade it for anything." As the twin moons reflected on the rivers, Eli and Lyra shared a quiet moment of understanding. Their journey had been dangerous, filled with uncertainty and risk, but it had also been rewarding. They had faced threats, protected life, and formed a bond that transcended species. And for the first time, Eli felt truly at home, not just on this alien planet, but in the company of someone who saw him for who he was, respected his courage, and shared his curiosity. Lyra's voice broke the silence. Human Eli Carter, tomorrow we continue our work. But tonight we observe, we rest, and we reflect on lessons learned. Eli smiled, nodding. Agreed, and maybe we'll discover more than just data. Maybe we'll discover each other. She tilted her head, a faint glow pulsing along her veins. Perhaps that is a possibility worth exploring. And so, under the silver light of the twin moons together, watching the forest, the rivers, and the stars, two species different in every way, yet united in curiosity, courage, and the inno. The night was quiet. The platform stood firm. And in that quiet, the bond between the